Hello and welcome to the Knights of the Highlands as 3.5 D&D characters, Episode 10, Sir Itan Saba, Lord of Sandstone, and Master of Squires. So when we're talking about the Ebonhold and any knightly order in general, one of the biggest features is how do the knights replenish themselves? Like how do they bring up new knights? And so there's two ways that an individual gets admitted into the Knights of the Highlands. One of them is by already being a knight and coming to the order and petitioning for entrance. The second is being brought up as a squire to the order. Now, in my game, knighthood typically works the way it does, in both Bell and in historical reality, in that you're squire directly under a knight or a lord, and then eventually you work your way up and you get knighthood. The one major exception is with the Knights of the Highlands. Occasionally, there will be direct squireship, and in fact, most of the Knights of the Highlands today, who are quote-unquote still survive, or however you want to say it, but the ones who are active in my game today had a direct squireship, or at least a direct mentorship while they were squired to the order. And then, currently in the current setup in the Ebonhold, in Calistia, there are at least 5 squires to the order. And so they all wear the white tabard with the order's symbol on it, which we are currently in design talks to actually come up with a symbol for our order. Until then, I'm just using the Chaos Star, just kind of emblazoned on a heater shield, until we come up with our own symbol. So Itan fulfills the very vital role of being Master of Squires. Now, he doesn't teach them to fight, per se. That's Locutus's job. He teaches them the basic mysteries, if you will, the entry-level information you need to be a Knight of the Highlands. And again, these guys deal with free magic and undead, and they do a lot of things that traditional, knights in other parts of this world don't. And so the importance on bringing up squires with the harsh reality in which the Knights of the Highlands live in, very important. So let's talk about the model first before we go any deeper into the character sheet and the lore. Included here for colors are Leadbelcher, of course, for the silver, Mournfang Brown for the wood. It looks like Xerneas purple and Jacaro orange, and then Ceramite white there for the belt and Rackrath flesh for the face. So I really like this model. It's got a really cool setup for its its stance, and Itan is a double flail wielder, kind of as a joke in Belegarth, but here I made it his thing. He's also there on the back, got a sword and board in case he needs to transition. You'll see several knights with the sword and board there. But yeah, 2 flails. I really like the bottoms that I chose. They have kind of a Gelfin flair, and if you know many of the Gelfs, you'll know they wear a lot of layered skirts and stuff, and a lot of layers and things like that on their bottom. Up top, he's got the armor, and then you can see there in the crooks of the elbow, purple tunic sticking out. Itan's colors are purple and orange, so that worked. And then the white belt there signifying knighthood, and then they're orange and silver on the shield. Nothing on the waist for Itan. It didn't work out really well with the bottoms. There wasn't a good spot for anything on the waist. But I really dig the stance and the way it turned out. So let's turn our attention now to the sheet. Itan is Fighter 11, Tempest 5. Tempest is a prestige class that involves, using 2 weapons, and so I thought, since this is the route I was going to go, that I thought that it fit Itan really well. Stats 18, 18, 16, 14, 16, 13, so not a slouch any way around, but strength and dex are obviously the most important, seeing as he has that fighter base. 2 weapons there, both shock flails, one's heavy, one's light, to get the 2-weapon fighting benefit. 142 hit points, 4 attacks with a plus 16 base attack bonus, plus 20 grapple modifier, an initiative of plus 7. Looking down at the throws, Itan does have a magical item that increases his throws in circumstances, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But Fortitude plus 14, Reflex plus 8, Will plus 7. Looking at the AC bonus, 24, 16 touch, 18 flat-footed. Itan does have plus 1, a Porter leather scale, and the model shows chainmail, but that's because they didn't really have a good scale mail option. They might now, but they didn't at the time. And then a Porter is once a day you can activate a dimension door that'll take you 800 feet in a line of sight, so you can pew either in or out of combat really quickly. And then he's got that plus 1 light steel shield, and it is backpacked as per the mercenary handbook, and so he gets to use part of that bonus. Moving on to page 2, 126,129 experience points. He does have that, adventuring gear, and if you're curious as to what all's in there, you can go back to episode 2. Moving down, he does have the Knight's livery, and then the Lordly Holdings. Itan has been lorded by the Realm of Wrath, and therefore he has some Lordly Holdings that he collects income from. In the fluff, Itan's lands aren't managed by a sibling or anything. They're managed by a seneschal. He visits them regularly, but does not spend a ton of time there due to his commitments to the Knights of the Highlands. Magic items, Itan wears glasses, so we've got the lenses of true form. Now they kind of mold to the face and basically quote-unquote disappear, which could take the form of contacts. But they give him a big bonus to seeing through disguises, and then also once a day can force a shapeshifted creature to resume its natural form. Gloves of the Balanced Hand, they give you 2-weapon fighting if you don't have it already, but being a fighter and having a ton of feats, he already had it, so it gives him an extra attack with his offhand weapon. And then Vest of Resistance plus 2 gives him plus 2 to all those saves under certain circumstances. All those items are from the Magic Item Compendium. Itan doesn't have it. He's not a spellcaster. He's a straight-up warrior. He doesn't have anything on that 3rd page, so if you'll just follow me to the 4th page here. If you're looking at a signature skill, Itan, having that fighter background, doesn't really have a dedicated skill, with the exception of Ride. Ride's a super important skill to anybody fulfilling that knight role or that mounted combat role, and since all the knights have to ride, it's kind of a thing to be a knight. That's his best skill. He's pretty well rounded otherwise, with lots of plus 9s, balance, climb, jump, sleight of hand, swim, and tumble. Sleight of hand comes from his Tempest class. And tumble. So, lots of plus 9s, but nothing that's like, as glaringly obvious as some of the plus 20s we've seen in some of the other sheets. Itan's here to rumble. Looking at the racial traits class features, the Tempest defense plus 3, ambidexterity, 2-weapon versatility, and 2-weapon spring attack. Now, those are all things from the Tempest class. 2-weapon versatility lets him trade off attack bonus for defense. 2-weapon Tempest defense, it basically gives him a defense bonus with his offhand. And then, he's got spring attack, which move, hit, move. Super effective. Into the feats, dodge, which is great. 2-weapon fighting and improved 2-weapon fighting. Mobility, spring attack. Weapon focus, heavy flail. Weapon specialization, heavy flail. Greater weapon focus, heavy flail. And improved critical heavy flail. In my games, I tend to allow, if you have those things for one type of flail, you have them for all of them, unless it's an exotic weapon like the dire flail. So I have allowed on Itan's sheet the greater weapon focus and all that for his heavy flail to pass down to his light flail. I know there's a feat you can get that does that for all types, which will probably be, if I level Itan up any higher, the next one he would go through, like the Bludgeon Master or whatever it is. But I think it's a little ridiculous that if you know how to use, one sword really, 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 really well, that you wouldn't know how to use all swords pretty well. And I mean, I know swords are a bad example because in D&D especially, there's mechanics between like piercing and slashing, and there's light, and heavy weapons and martial weapons. So it was just kind of an example. But yeah, I don't think that you should be penalized. I mean, if you know how to use a heavy flail, you probably know how to use a light flail. They're pretty similar. And then languages there, Dwarven and Elven. And those come from hanging around with the exotic Knights of the Highlands. So that's Itan's sheet. when we're talking about this kind of role that he fulfills, it's extremely important. The squires typically don't interact with every single knight. A lot of the time, of course, they're going to meet them all because the Knights of the Highlands require unanimous order before granting entrance or granting knighthood. But they don't spend a ton of time as squires with, everybody. And so Itan's their first point of contact. He's the one that shows them the ropes. He's the one that shows them around the Ebonhold. And that episode is coming, so you're going to get a sense of just how big this place is. And, without him, without that first entrance, squires would be lost. And so he fulfills a very important role in the, longevity of the order and being able to bring these squires up. And a lot of people, a lot of squires to the order, at least the 5 or 6 kids that are there now, most of them are orphans. Some of them have already had an encounter with free magic or the undead. That's how they kind of recruit these kids who've seen some stuff, man. And so Itan, having no children himself, is kind of like a pseudo father figure for these kids, which is important for them and also important for him, in his personal journey as a knight, to kind of have someone he's responsible for. So yeah, it's good for him. So that's Itan. Thanks again for checking in. Next episode is coming soon, and then we'll have an episode on the Ebonhold. So, episode 11 will be another night, and then episode 12 will be about the Ebonhold. So I've been working on that episode. So hope to see you soon, and we'll see you next time.